Howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of the DirtInfo Podcast. This week, Carter and I will chat Woo Sprints, USMTS, and the Midwest Motorsports Expo. We'll also recap some regional super late model action and take a look at the week ahead. And as always, we'll send you home with one for the road.
And make sure you follow us you can find the podcast on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And then in short form / written form, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Instagram
and TikTok.
and
And then,
TikTok.
and make sure you just like, subscribe, follow, whatever the option is on your preferred listening app. It goes a long way. So, um,
Absolutely.
I guess we'll jump right into it. I didn't do as much as you did, Josh, this weekend. Not as much as I can talk about on here, at least. But on Friday, I was just at home and I caved. There was no racing on Flow, so I just like screw it. I'm gonna renew my Dirt subscription for the year. And
Yeah.
I picked
You've
a
been
good.
holding out.
It was about a 2 month holdout, except for the 1 month I got it for Speed Weeks. But I picked a good Friday to do it because Bill Baylog, who I mean he's from Alaska, but he's a Wisconsin guy. We're gonna claim him. Uh,
Yeah.
he picked up the win, and it was his second ever World of Outlaws sprint car win. And he there was a restart, and he went from like either fourth or sixth, something like that, and just like flew by a bunch of guys to second, and then worked his way past Cole Macedo, and then
Mhm.
after that he was checked out for a bit, but then gravel was catching him. It kind of locked down on the bottom, but I like gravel, but I was cheering for Baylog there. So
Heck
I
yeah. I mean, you've seen him race, I'm sure, a bunch with
yeah,
IRA.
I was at his first ever Outlaw win at Beaver Dam too in 2016. So I think
Heck
it's
yeah.
60. Yeah, but yeah, I've seen him race a bunch with IRA at 141, all my local tracks. So I've won a bunch too.
Yeah. Yeah. He's kind of like a legend of IRA.
Yeah,
So,
10-time champion. So and
and
then Saturday I watched no racing. I was with some friends, having some drinks. Pretty much the last time I can do that with racing coming up. I'll be too busy on the weekends for that. So
yeah. Yeah. Coming up real soon. And you work too. So you don't,
yeah,
you gotta be
I can't drink and I work while I'm at the track a lot of the time, so I can't be drinking.
exactly. So you gotta stay responsible. So good to get it in. Especially responsibly. I was gonna ask how much of it you remember, but we rather
Most of it.
not.
Most of it.
Oh, improvement over last time. Right on. But yeah, so I didn't catch a whole heck of a lot of racing either. I really only watched on Friday myself as well. But as a shock to no one, I was watching the USMTS, um, and so Strickler won that. I was chatting with Brad in the Discord a little bit right before, and I picked him to win right before feature start. So you know how the announcers do it right before the race. Well, sometimes Brad and I'll do it. And I picked 8. I technically took the second row, which was Sanders and Strickler. So I went 1-2. But anyway, so he Strickler won, Sanders second, as I mentioned. Jim Chisholm third, and then Tyler Davis first time out this season with a solid fourth, and then Trevor Hughes, who is a rookie this year, took over his dad's business, so he's doing Hughes chassis now, and also racing full-time USMTS. So he came home fifth. He's actually been kind of impressive this season. Just I think out of 3 races, he's got 2 pretty solid finishes. He actually got kind of wrapped up in something. The track was sort of bottom dominant, and so they do the choose code in USMTS, and we were for the first time, I think, since they started doing it, seeing second place take inside row 2. Well, Hughes was the first one to try this. He wasn't the only one on the night, but he was the first one to try it. Restart didn't go great. Third row got into him. He got sideways in front of the field. I was almost like, oh my, like you took inside row 2, and this went terribly. Like couldn't have gone worse. But they called the caution on Mark Smith from behind. They called the caution on him and gave Hughes a spot back. Mangled right side, but he managed to bring her home fifth. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Um, And then a couple other news and notes just for me because I'm like way into this stuff. Alex Williamson, the door panel, right there, has I believe three top tens. It's three top tens to start the season. So he's just definitely improved from last year. Last year, a lot of hard charging, then something would go wrong and he'd end up in the back and we'd charge forward again. This time he's just putting her in the top 10 and hanging out there.
Is he one that's on the fence about running full time, or is he
Yeah, so I
committed?
think, that's a great question. I think he kind of hinted that he was going to run it earlier in the winter. And then just last week, I'm pretty sure I saw that he had made mention that like it's going to be a week to week deal. They're just going to
Yeah.
see
So
what
so
makes
far though,
sense.
well, you had three top tens, you said.
Yeah.
So I mean, so far week to week, it's been going good. So
Yeah, week to week, it's definitely been worth it. Especially with you know, as you and I have argued before, this series does come back towards Minnesota, Wisconsin for quite a bit. Maybe not so much this year as in years past with the updated schedule, but still quite plenty. So, yeah, it's nice to be sitting well now, and when it transitions more towards home to have it make sense to kind of keep going out and running well, and hopefully getting some checks at the end of the year. The only other thing I kind of want to talk about was Racing Dirt did. I think you might have seen this, you might not have, but Racing Dirt did an interview with Strickler and Jim Chisholm about their run-in the week previous.
I saw it. I didn't watch it, but you and Brad talked about it enough where I figured I kind of got the gist of the thing.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I love it. I love that they both seem a little bit heated. I'm not going to verbatim any of this stuff, but like Strickler kind of made mention like he had heard some things about Chisholm in the pit area, and Chisholm kind of made the allegation back. Take it for what it is. I'm not taking sides. It just seemed to kind of ring all out of he said, she said. But anyway, and Strickler had also kind of mentioned like if we want to run this like Dale Sr. and Gordon in the 90s, I'm all here for it. It can be an expensive demo derby. I'm paraphrasing a bunch there, y'all. Like go watch it to get the full. But mostly that was the gist of what he was saying, which is, respect is something out there that, you earn, but is also kind of given, especially if you're running week to week with each other. And, you know, you can't, everyone wants every inch, but if you're seeing the same guy 50 times a year, I think you race him a little bit different than maybe you would otherwise, right? And that was kind of his point. And I thought it was interesting having seen those interviews and then watching the race on a late restart. I saw Jim kind of put it in a spot he puts it in a lot. And I think my read of it is he backed out of it. So, and I'm not trying to make any call of anyone, but it's just one of those things where you see that, everyone knows it happened, and then you watch the race and you go, huh, you wonder if that wasn't in the back of his head of like, because he backed out of it and he lost wholesale ground on a restart and he never really challenged for the lead again. Late in the race, maybe had everything not happened the week before and everyone made a big deal out of it. Maybe he keeps his foot in it, and I'm not saying he roughs up or runs anyone dirty, but maybe he rubs a little bit more than he did in that instance. So that's all I'm saying. And my biggest point is just I love that there's heat. I like I love when there's heat. I want it to be respectful. I want it to be on the racetrack. I don't want anyone doing anything stupid, but like race each other hard, air your grievances. I don't know, bring a little WWE back. We talked about wrestling a lot last week, it felt like, but like, I don't know, there's a little bit where it doesn't have to be disrespectful, but it can be heated. And it can be intense without crossing any lines. And I love when there's guys that have a little heat between them. They want it a little bit more when they're racing, and I think it just ends up in a better product. And so if that's what we get in the USMTS, I'm going to be crowing about it all the time. But anyway, moving on. So that's my USMTS recap. Midwest Motorsports Expo was pretty cool. That was in Rochester, Minnesota. and it was on Saturday, this past Saturday. Um, it was definitely well attended, a little bit different vibe than the last expo I went to. Um, more people there. Had a little bit more of idea of what to expect walking in the door. Thought it was pretty cool. Ran into Dirt Empire magazine, and Ashley Zimmerman, who I've worked with a little bit in the past. So it was good to kind of see her in person and meet. I think it's her husband, but Patrick Wygans. He actually started asking me about Dirt Draft. He's like, "What are the Dirt Draft secrets?" Um, and so I dropped the little hints. Don't try to pick the winner. Don't buy the expensive guys. I always try to get someone who's going to outscore where they kind of line up in the salary, right? So anyway, but that was fun. Ran into a fan of the show, Tyrone. Tyrone Ligenfelder was there in his capacity with MTS, and so it was nice to run into him. He had mentioned that he watches the show, so I thought that was pretty cool. Chatted with him a little bit. I'm looking forward. I'll probably see him a whole bunch in May. It looks like we've got quite a few reasons to be at MTS in May. So maybe I'll catch you there. That was the first time I ever met you. You remember that?
At the Woo show, the World of All
Yeah.
late model show, because it was not looking good by me weather-wise.
No.
And
Nope.
so I said, screw it. We're gonna hope it looks better there, and made the 4-hour drive over there.
Heck yeah, that was so awesome. Sherry was so impressed. I thought it was neat. Sherry was like, "Oh my God, he's so awesome! I can't believe he drove all this way. I know it was for racing, but also kind of just to see us." And she was over the moon. If you haven't noticed, every time you meet her, she's your biggest fan. But anyway, so maybe we'll see you again this May. I don't know about the modified one, but maybe everything will rain out for
Yeah, pray for
the
rain, because I got to work that weekend streaming, so I couldn't
all
go
right,
if I wanted to.
all right. Well, I rarely root for rain, but maybe this one. Um, so yeah, and then I ran into Billy Steinberg, Minnesota Dirt YouTube channel. I've bumped into him a bunch. I met him once at I think it was MTS in the middle of the season, and then ran into him at the Dome later that same season. And so I see him a few times a year, so it was good to see him. He was working in his capacity with Weirs there, so it was just kind of cool to bump into him. And then I talked to Buck Munson, so I had mentioned Buck last episode. He gave us a little bit more information, kind of about the incident and how he's holding up. So yeah, he's definitely feeling it, but all in all, in good spirits. He managed to get his whole thing set up and everything. So giving you an idea of roughly how well he's doing. But yeah, he definitely had mentioned he was still feeling it in spots, and as one would imagine, catching it by the side of a modified. But I did get a kick out of it. I sent the picture, but he had that the last shot from the camera.
Oh, yeah, from the car that ended up hitting him.
Yeah, he had it up at his booth sitting in the back. So, but yeah, really good guy, tough dude. I couldn't believe. I still shocked me that he was. Week after, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be at the expo, no doubt about it." The guy's just tough. It's pretty cool, and a super nice guy. So I was glad I got a chance to kind of introduce myself for the first time. Although I'll mention that was not the first time someone thinks they've know me from somewhere. So, yeah, Buck had mentioned he thought he'd see me around, and I was like, I am fairly memorable. I'm a rather large human, but we've not interacted. You've probably just seen me. But yeah, so all in all, definitely fun. I think I'll go again next year too.
Did you did you go to the Dirt Kings
I
booth?
didn't. I saw
Unbelievable.
admit so. All right, I'm gonna sell myself out here. I saw them there. They were there. There was multiple people in the booth. And you had already told me they were gonna there and chided me about going. and I just couldn't think of a single thing to say to like introduce myself. Like,
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
and so like I just chickened out. I was like I wanted to do it because you had mentioned it
The
and
only
kind of
the only thing there that's really from my area, and you didn't go over there.
I know I couldn't think of anything to say if that makes sense. I didn't want to be like, "Oh, what's Dirt Kings?" because that's I don't want to waste people's time, right? Like I have an idea. I don't know what to say. Um
They probably know who
but
I am, depending who was at the booth, because I did do some camera stuff for them last year, and that's about
uh,
all you could have mentioned that I know of.
I
So
sh- hey, you probably know my friend. I should have done that. Um, I did talk to the people at Fairmont Raceway for a minute, and that was predicated mostly on that Sherry saw they had like done up mini donuts, and she wanted to know where they got them. And so, so I turned around because I was actually taking pictures of the Vanderbeek display um, for our thumbnail. Everyone will see it here shortly, or have already seen it. But I was taking pictures for that, and they were the booth behind it. And Sherry's like, "Do you see those? I want to know where they got them." And so I turned around and asked, and I chatted for a minute and mentioned that we'll probably be there once or twice for USMTS or Northern Lights. But yeah, and it turns out they were right on the way in, but when we walked in, there's a huge line of people for tickets for something else at the convention center, and we just totally missed it. So on the way out, we got some. It worked out. But yeah. Anyway, so that was my racing adventures this weekend. Um, so all in all, pretty fun. I didn't watch any racing on Saturday. I was kind of racing out, as you might imagine. so, so anyway, well, you have a Hunt the Front subscription, so
I
that
do.
obviously means you've watched or rewatched Hunt the Front from Saturday
Nope.
already, right?
I looked at the MRP results. Best I got. So
same. Real well, Ricky Weiss won.
that's his. I think he won. Was it last weekend when the toilet, or I guess 2 weeks
Yeah,
when the toilet bowl was? So that's two straight
yeah,
wins for him too. So it's like I think the toilet bowl was 7,500 and Hunt the Front was 20 grand. So
yeah. Not a bad little week stretch there. Yeah. And I thought I read somewhere earlier today too. He I think didn't have a super win at all last year.
think,
So
yeah, I believe that's right. I know he had some crate
yeah.
stuff, and he won some
Mhm.
stuff in Arizona, at the early Ernie Mincy, but that wasn't super stuff. So I
Yeah.
believe, yeah, I probably it was probably his first super, or last week, I guess, was his first super win in who knows how long.
Yeah. It was I definitely over a year. It could have been longer than that, but it's just interesting because we had talked a few weeks ago about like during speed weeks, right? Like but guys that are kind of having breakout seasons or taking the next step. Uh Weiss was obviously not there, so we didn't have any reason to bring him up. But 2 weeks into sort of his season, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. It looks like he maybe turned a corner. Um, I think he raced a little less last year, maybe pulled back, built his program up, and now he's off and running. He after I like his style. So he didn't announce for the HTF tour until after he won the race. So he declared. So it feels like he's really confident he's going to run that tour. Um, Another name I saw announced for that was Owens. Jimmy
Yep.
Owens announced for HGF too. Um, I think I don't know. He's announced for all three now.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lucas,
these.
Outlaws, and Hunt the Fronts.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he probably runs that series though. Hunt the Front. I feel like he runs Hunt the
Yeah,
Front probably more than anything
that'd be
else.
my guess probably. I mean, that'd be
Yeah.
a weird one to declare to if you're like not gonna run it, you know? Like,
Right. Yeah, it would feel odd, right? A little out of place. So I hear you. I think he's probably pretty well committed to that. Um, Someone who I didn't see commit, but maybe Mark Marler was in attendance as well at I-75 for Hunt the Front. He what during Speed Weeks. I think they kind of announced he was going to pull back on the schedule.
Yeah, because he didn't
Yeah,
show up to Golden Isles the first night of Lucas Speed Weeks, and then
that's right.
they said that yeah he's just doesn't like following a they said he doesn't like following a tour, but like I think a national tour like Hunt the Front. I mean, you still have a lot of open weekends. You know, you're
Yeah.
not in South Dakota or anything. You're maybe 2 states away with Hunt the Front, like from Tennessee, but you're
Mhm.
not going halfway across the country. So I could see him following it. Just a shorter tour, a lot of closer tracks to him.
Yeah, I could too. And even if he doesn't run the whole thing, I could see him running a fair bit of it. But
Yeah,
I think
good amount
I
of
think
them.
it, I wanted to say I saw somewhere it was like 20-ish dates, 20 to 25 dates, I think. So it's not a ton. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
So
50,000 to win the points, I believe, too. So I mean,
hmm
good money to win the points for 20 something races.
heck yeah. I mean the race on Saturday was 20K to win, so
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not like it's a tour for like 4 grand, 5 grand. It's all pretty big paying shows. So
Yeah. I think I saw somewhere they upped their minimum payout show to 8K. So like the minimum show they run is 8K this year. Hunt the
oh yeah.
Front.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to see him run it. It'd make it interesting, I think.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Him and well Jimmy and Ricky conceivably if he stays out. And then you've got Joyner who's been on the tour and
Trey
I think I
Mills, I
wrote down
think,
some.
recently committed, I believe, too.
Yeah. Trey Mills. Sam Seawright finished third last year. Uh Corey Hedgecock, Zach Mitchell, I think are all committed names this year. So I mean, it's as good as the Southeast probably gets. I know we don't know. We know those guys maybe more from social media and the bits and pieces we get to watch and follow on MRP, but those are all really, solid guys down there. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know them all by name, but I mean, if you think about it,
yeah.
the national tours don't really go to the Southeast too much anymore. Like the Outlaws got a few dates down there, but I don't think Lucas goes there at all besides Speed Weeks, if I remember right. Like seems like it's all
I'm
Midwestish
trying to
area. Like
think.
there's
Yeah.
really nothing down that way. So we don't really see him like that much. Like we might see
Mm-hmm.
him at Eldora or something, but like Zach Mitchell and stuff is a guy we'll see at a few shows really on like a flow or dirt vision thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So we know him, but we don't know a ton about him. So
Yeah.
hopefully, if we follow along Hunt the Front, we can get to know even more about him. Maybe I'll re-up
Yeah.
my Hunt the Front subscription too. Actually,
I
watch
have
a
to.
Hunt the Front race.
If anyone's watching.
One rain.
um,
If there's a rain out and there's nothing on flow and dirt vision, I'll probably get Hunt the Front again.
yeah. 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 No, to your point, I kind of agree with you. There's not a lot of racing that happens. I saw a Dirt on Dirt article and they're like outlining all of the Southeast late model tours. There's a whole mess of them down
Hmm.
there. There is a whole mess of them. But I think Hunt the Front this is their
That's
third year. Going into
yeah, I
their
believe
third
it's
year
their
is
third.
really
Yeah.
yeah, has really established themselves as like I think kind of the top dog amongst all of the ones trying there. And that's not to disparage anyone else. Just we're talking about running for 8K minimum shows, and we have Jimmy Owens uh, declaring and everything else. Like just I don't know. I think it's fair to say they're kind of the top dog right now. Um, but yeah, I think by my count it was like 6 or 7 other series that run
Yeah,
in the
I know of
southeast.
a few of them, but yeah, there's a good amount down there, and some have like fairly small schedules, but like there's just so many. There's like
Mm-hmm.
some series with I don't know 15 some races. There's another one with like 7 races, and I feel like they're getting new ones every year. They got that Southern Thunder series announced
Yep.
earlier, so they keep showing up. It seems like
Yeah, they're running this weekend at Lancaster. I think
yes,
how they say
yeah,
it. So, but yeah,
I can
um,
watch that one by the way on Hunt the Front
you
TV.
can.
So
You can also. We were gonna mention it, but you can also watch Northern All Stars,
I
and
can
I'm kind of bummed about that.
I can
I
watch
want
that
to
as
watch
well.
that. Yeah. So, um, well, the other racing action this past weekend, and this is definitely just something we're kind of keeping abreast of and mentioning, but Cade Dillard won with comp cams at Boothill. 10K. It was a 10K payday. I think they
Yep.
were going to do 5K, 10K, and they swapped it out
Yep.
because of weather. And
Yeah, they just canceled Saturday completely and put 10K
yeah,
onto Friday.
yeah. So Dillard, put it on your boy.
Hey, he's a points racer. Second place, good for points. We're speaking of Ethan Dotson, who I mentioned, I put in the Discord, but he ran Boothill. He was supposed to run Boothill both days, and then
Yeah,
with Saturday canceling, he drove like 10 hours to the Hunt the Front race in Tennessee overnight after running in Louisiana, which I thought was kind of
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, he was there, wasn't he? It didn't
Yeah,
go well though, did it?
I don't know. I didn't see him in the top three, so
Yeah, no, I think he might have missed the feature, and that's just purely like a
he's
dirt
probably tired.
draft thing. Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, hat tip for trying. And don't quote me that he missed it. I just feel like I saw it and was surprised that he had. Right? It's one of those names when if you see him missing a beat, you're like, oh, that don't make sense. I think that's why it's registering, but don't take me to the bank on that. BJ Robinson was third. And then Timmy Culp was fourth, who he was like running USMTS about this time last year in a GRT car. So kind of cool to see him running fourth. And then David Brazil came home fifth as well. And then Comp Cams runs again this week, I think, at Tulsa Speedway
Yep, and then
and
Springfield, you
Springfield.
mentioned to
Yeah.
me, so
Yeah. Springfield was the other one. That one I knew. They haven't had a lot going on at Springfield over
yeah,
the.
Springfield loves to race like when it's cold out. They have the Turkey Bowl in like late November too, which
Mhm.
sometimes they'll keep postponing that thing until they can freaking run it. Like they'll have
Yeah,
like
they can
three
do it.
rain dates, and on the rain dates it'll say, in case it rains, snows, or anything else on the first weekend, we'll run this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate Jerry Hoffman's out there keeping us with something to talk about. At least my guy keeps racing going. So, um, but yeah, it's I think that's more or less all the results. As far as this weekend, we were chatting about it before the show, so I have to give you a hard time. The World of Outlaws late models run this
Yeah,
weekend. uh, uh, so Carter was mentioning that Beatrice was running for 5K mods, and then says, "What else? What else do we got going on?" And I'm like, "World of Outlaws, Carter." Anyway, sorry to sell you on. It just cracked me up because you're usually the more organized of the two of us. Anyway, but yeah, we've got World of Outlaws, Smoky Mountain, 12K, 15K. Um, I don't know. I think we might get good car count. The reason I'm
oh,
stopping on that,
I think
yeah,
so.
between they had something like 40 some odd cars at I-75, and then we've got a bunch of, well, Woo rolls about 45 deep right about now. So a little bit of unfair. Anyway, it just occurred to me we might get like a really healthy car count, I
And
feel
Lucas is
like.
off, so like you're gonna get
Yeah, and
all
Lucas is
those
off.
guys. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only race really that might take a few cars is Florence, which is running with the Northern
Yeah.
All-Stars. I mean, that's like I think the closest thing running near him, like with supers. So, but besides
Hmm.
that, I mean, everyone else is probably going to Smoky Mountain, I'd have to assume.
I would assume so. Yeah. And at second place, RTJ will be there to see if he can get higher in the standings. So I actually don't know if he'll be there. I assume he will. I was looking at it in prep and I saw that he's still sitting second in points, and I'm just like, could he leave the leader?
Who's leading right now? I don't even remember.
Gustin,
Yeah,
Ryan
okay.
Gustin.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. And RTJ second. Bobby's third, and I don't remember who's fourth, and then I think Max Player's fifth.
I think
So anyway,
Bishop was up there at some point. I don't know if he still is, but he was one that was up there. He'll be in there in the B5 car instead of the Rocket One,
oh,
which I know like some events he runs the B5, but I figured that show would be a Rocket One kind of show, but he'll be there in his family car, so
run better than that anyway. Because that's the one he ran at Wild West Shootout, right?
yep.
Which was up and down. But there's also the one he ran at Gateway, and he won at Gateway.
So who knows?
Yeah. Or did he not win at Gateway? Did he
Yeah,
win
he
at
won
Gateway?
Gateway. Yep.
Yeah, he won Gateway. All right. I all of a sudden had panic that I was like remembering the wrong year, like I was a year in
No,
arrears or
one
something.
back to back.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Well, there, we're getting long in the tooth on this show, I guess. But, um, so that's what's going on, and then we've also got so for the mods, in addition to Northern All Stars modifieds at Florence that we mentioned, Short Track Super Series is running. They're at Port Royal for 12K. So
I feel like
that's a
this
little.
race has been rained out like 4 years in a row. Like I know it's
Yeah,
been
I
rained out
think
a lot and postponed and all this,
I think they were supposed to run it this time last year. It was postponed till like later in the year, and
and
then
then
Port
postponed to
Royal. Yeah, well, Port Royal decided to do some track stuff, if I recall correctly, and so they kind of ended abruptly, and then this got kicked all the way back to here. So it's like a year in arrears. So maybe they'll get it in, but I don't know. I might actually check in on that. So there may be more to come on that. That's part of the reason I mentioned it because starting to enjoy the big blocks more and more. So and then I don't know. I think we've covered everything in one way or another on our list. We've touched on anything. Anything you thought we forgot?
we can touch a little more on Beatrice or Beatrice. I've heard it pronounced the right way and I can never remember which one it is. But they got I think it's the spring. Oh, I can't remember the name. Spring something. It's got spring in it.
Spring.
But they have this race every year and they changed up the format this year. On Friday it is passing points for the mods, like double heats. It might be like that for every division, but they're doing passing points Friday, double heat races, and then Saturday it'll be 5,000 to win for the mods. And they posted a few days ago on Facebook that they'll make a decision Tuesday morning, which for us, as of right now, would be tomorrow. So this may not be running, but just wanted to mention it.
Yeah,
First really big higher paying IMC. Nope, there was that Texas show. My apologies,
there was a
I-37.
text.
But
Yeah,
in the Midwest, I guess first really big, bigger, higher paying show for the IMCA mods. So I mean,
yeah,
Grabowski will be there, and I'm sure a good
yeah.
amount of others. So
I was gonna make the joke. So Grabowski's hoping they get it in so he can win 5K, right?
yeah, he's won a lot there, so
Yeah,
he's probably the favorite.
yeah, he's definitely the favorite. Um, and then yeah, you covered it. I was gonna say, but if they do get it in, we told you about it. So in the event that it's canceled, we warned you. But if they get it in, we told you about it. We wanna take credit where credit's due. But anyway, uh, with that, Carter, it means it's time for.
The one for the road, and I'll start in local to me. 141 Speedway has upped their payouts for all the divisions. The most notable one was the IMCA mods are now 1,000 to win weekly, which I mean you see that in some places, but I don't really see it that much in IMCA. So I mean, a couple years ago, 1,000 to win show was a special, and now it's just a weekly thing. And they upped the other class. I think stock cars are 750, and all the other classes got a bump too. So it's nice to see that the payouts are going up for just the weekly drivers. And I mean they get a ton of cars weekly already, so now they'll be getting even more. But
Yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, I just thought that was cool to see payout boost. I feel like I haven't seen that around here in a while. So
Yeah, I mean, we've been here in well, anyway, I'll leave all that out. Nonetheless, it is good to see a payout boost for sure. And yeah, 1K weekly that's
yeah.
solid. So,
And they
you
did
know,
the top five, I think, all got boosted. They didn't post the second, third, fourth, fifth, but they posted the winner payouts. So
oh heck yeah. So it's not just at the very top, it's
yeah,
kind of throughout the
they
field
kind
as
of
well.
a little bit throughout the field. Yeah.
Yeah, at least trying to get back past top line. So right on, that's pretty awesome. Um, So I guess interestingly enough, my one for the road I think is somewhat touches on yours, or at least has to do with the same week as yours potentially. Anyway, I'm butchering it. Long and short, XR Northern Storm released their schedule this past week, sort of covertly actually. I think it's like Hibbing released their schedule and the Northern Storm was just kind of on it. But anyway, so Wasota late models, Wasota modifieds, Wasota Midwest modifieds, and then new this year's Wasota super stocks. It's like a little bit of a Wasota Speed Weeks here for the Wasota cars of those classes. And they're running June 12th at Proctor, June 13th at Gondik Law, June 14th at Grand Rapids, and then June 15th at Hibbing. And then they have their sort of closeout show for that on July 3rd at ABC. So that's the tour. Normally I would try to catch one of those shows, but it just so happens that that's on Masters weekend. So yeah, I'm glad that XR Northern Storm is back. Like I love the idea of Wasota Speed Weeks, especially for, you know, almost, well, a good fair bit of the classes now. But it just stinks that it's kind of at the same time that USMTS and the late models, the Cedar Lake late models are running for 3K, 5K, 12K Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I don't know. There may be some crossover. I think the Cedar Lake late models may or may not be as affected as the mods. When I went and looked, I thought I saw 10 to 12 modifieds who were at both the Masters and some portion of Northern Storm last year. So I don't know. We'll see what comes of it. I hope they both get healthy car counts, and I hope it doesn't really matter and just racers have options and there's good money available. But it would also stink if the car counts are down across both events because they're conflicting, and it didn't make a whole like a sense why it all got jumbled up. But I don't make those calls and I don't make those decisions, and so hey, I want everyone to succeed, and if they don't, well, hopefully they're able to figure out why they didn't. But it's a cool thing for us with Soda guys, and so I'm glad it's back. And it stinks that it conflicts, but we'll figure it out.
Good news is you can still go to the ABC show.
Yeah, still could. I actually need to get out to that racetrack. I've not been there.
I've been there.
You
And
have?
we were up there in that area for like a little vacation thing, like when I was in like middle school. And every time we would go on a vacation, one of the days I required we go to a racetrack. And that is the one we went to. Me and my dad went
Okay.
there. So I don't remember much there, but I was there.
All right. So I was going to ask how it was, but you already beat me
Yeah,
to it. You said you
I
don't
was
remember much
pretty
about it,
young,
but
so
all right.
I remember the mods. I don't remember what happened, but I remember watching mods raced.
Hmm. Fair enough. They were probably memorable. Um, Funny how you were weren't old enough to remember now, but we're old enough to demand they went to a racetrack.
That was just always a requirement. If I have to miss the race at Luxembourg or 141, we at least got to go somewhere else. Because if it
Fair
was a
enough.
summer trip, I'm missing racing back at home. So at least replace it
Yeah.
with another track.
Right on. Well, if I make it out there, maybe it'll be a free weekend for you, and we can try it again and visit it. I
And
don't
maybe
know.
I'll remember it this time.
Maybe remember it, but it seems like a cool place. I mean, they have a huge red clay show out there, and I say huge because the payouts are like 20K.
Yeah, this year it's
yeah.
I don't remember what anniversary, but it's like a anniversary kind of year for it, like 20 or something, probably not 20, but like an important number. And yeah, they up the payouts way up. It's like 20K I think for late models or something. All the classes
Yeah.
are boosted up. So
Oh, way big. Yeah. So maybe that'll be the one. That's a busy weekend for racing too. But anyway, I digress. Now we're just negotiating times to go to racetracks. It means we've hit our fill. Um, we appreciate y'all for watching again. Like, share, subscribe. We said it at the beginning. We'll say it again at the end. And yeah, we'll catch y'all next episode. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. Thank you.